this video, I'll be going over how we buy Suburbans, so the typical test drive. Let's get right into it. All right, we're getting pretty close to our destination. I thought I'd go over just in general tips, information about test driving Suburbans and, you know, buying one. So I mean, obviously 95% probably of our builds are bought by us, and you know, it's just kind of what happens. You know, 5% or, you know, or so are brought in by clients that have either purchased them, you know, recently, or it's been like their family vehicle for all these years, and all the kids are out, and now they're going to make it into a sub-overland. So different options there, but we do buy a lot of Suburbans. I was kind of counting them up. The last 2 years we've bought over 200 Suburbans, or sorry, not 200, over 100 Suburbans. So definitely a good drivetrain. One thing that I will say to look out for just in buying a car in general is dishonest people. So when I'm texting, you know, these people that are selling their cars, because ours are mainly bought private party, we rarely will deal with dealerships, and so I'll just be texting, you know, the owner of the vehicle. First question is it clean title in your name? That's very important to ask in a you know, to us, because a lot of people, you know, flippers, they'll you know, buy a car private party. The seller will sign the title, and they'll most often leave off the purchase price and the date and all this stuff, and then the person that purchased it will just flip it. So they'll sell it without putting the title in their name, because that costs money. You have to pay tax. And by the way, what I'm talking about here is, I think, a felony in most states, and so it's just not cool. So something definitely to look out for. That doesn't necessarily mean that that vehicle is automatically deemed, you know, unreliable or a bad vehicle, but we just don't want to mess with that, especially as a dealership. We can't mess with that because, like I said, it's illegal, and we can get our license, you know, taken away. And those vehicles probably aren't, more often than not, they could have problems, more so than a clean title in the person's name. They have a history on it, and so that's number one on our list to check out before you even make the drive. And also a good way to determine that from like the ad. So for example, you're looking on a Craigslist or a Facebook Marketplace or something like that, and you don't see license plates on the vehicle. That more often than not means that they haven't licensed it in their name. It's not registered. It probably doesn't have insurance on it, and so probably something to avoid in most cases. And then, you know, once I determine that, and I'll ask them, how long have you owned the car for? And some people, oh, we've had it for 1 month. We decided it wasn't for us. A lot of times the people will try to hide that it's a, you know, they're like, yeah, it's a clean title. And then I show up, turns out, yeah, it's a clean title, but it's not in their name. And so that didn't really help me out very much there. So you just gotta, you know, ask the questions. People get ornery all the time, and like often they'll be like, why are you asking so many questions? Or why don't you come and look at it? And so it just makes me laugh because I'm not going to drive 4 hours to look at something that I literally have done this, guys, where you show up to a test drive where I've done all of this homework, spent, plenty of time with these people on, with messaging back and forth, show up, and they were dishonest about something in the vehicle. I literally don't even drive it. I look at it and walk away because it's that bad, or, they were dishonest about the title work. Or you go through the whole test drive process and you get down to do the paperwork. Oh, yeah, it's under my father-in-law's name. So that's just number one. I would really, really emphasize that. And then say it all checks out, you're going to go check this thing out. So you're going for the test drive. And then you can start going down a checklist that you've made, or I have one here that we use that I'll go over really quickly. But it's always good to just be serious about going over the checklist. And another thing to do, this is pre-test drive, is like I said, ask questions. So another question I like to ask is it mechanically sound? Any mechanical issues? Any rust? Stuff like that. The more questions you ask, the better. And again, people are going to be ornery. And honestly, if they're ornery, I don't even go look at some of those cars. I just know it's just not going to be a good experience for either of us. And before I go, I also have a price in mind for the mileage range of these vehicles. So for example, today I'm going to drive a couple. They were asking more than what I thought the car was worth. Or what I thought, I know, because like I said, we bought over 100 of these things. And so I know what I'm going to pay for this vehicle. Regardless of what the seller is saying, or it books for this. I know what a Suburban is worth in this area, and so because of that, I have a price in mind. So before I even go, I will shoot over a max offer. So for example, if I think the car is worth our max that we'd pay for Suburban, let's say $4,000. I'm going to say, I'll word it like this. The max I'm going to give you for this Suburban is $4,000, depending on condition and how it drives and everything. And they'll come back a lot of times, and they'll be I've had some, I should have saved these over the years, but people get pretty ticked off about offering, lowballing them, I guess, in their mind, before you even go look at the car. But again, I'm not going to drive 4 hours to find out that the guy or the woman is negotiable $5. I've had that happen too. It's like, well, how much can you come down? They're like, oh, we can take off $25, when I was hoping to get it for $800 less. So you just got to have everything up front, do all that homework, all that hard work before you show up, so you don't waste your time. Because if you know how much you're going to pay for the rig, and then you show up and they have a different idea, it was a waste of time for both of you. So I like to save time for the seller and for me by doing a lot of this groundwork. So along with the mechanical side of things, some questions I like to ask are, what is wrong with the vehicle? I guess you can just word it that way. Any problems that need addressing? Would you drive this to New York and back? You can, again, the more questions, the better. And then, does the four-wheel drive work? And stuff like that. And then, even before, asking all these questions, obviously I look at the ad, and from the ad, I can tell which Suburban I'm going to go check out too. So from the pictures in the ad, you can tell a lot about a Suburban. For example, interior, the seats are all torn up, and there's McDonald's wrappers everywhere. So that one, it's not an automatic out or anything, but you know, going into that, you're going to want to offer lower, just because there's going to be potential, you know, cleanup or maybe even a carpet kit, and repairing the seats. Another one that's a really common mistake is, you'd be surprised, buying a Suburban and finding out it's not four-wheel drive. So I'll look in the pictures, you know, next, you know, where the switch is for the four-wheel drive, or if it's on the floor, just know where the four-wheel drive functions are, and you can save yourself a lot of time there, because a lot of people advertise it as four-wheel drive, and then you get there and you're out of luck. Other things to look for, you know, rust on the body. You can zoom into the pictures. You can look for dents that may be, you know, too much. You know, if it's like a whole rear quarter or something, and I don't even mess with that because it's just not worth our time. You know, and stuff like that. So visually from the pictures is very important too. I just realized I'm going to do this video in a couple parts. And so this first part, we went over pre-test drive. So how to, you know, weed out the bad Suburbans slash bad sellers. And, you know, I'll make a video of this one, and then I'll be on the test drive itself, and I can go over some certain things that we look at in the next video. But when it's all said and done, after you've done all of this legwork, and then you're ready to go, we always have, you know, cash on hand. So we'll go, we have a price in mind that we know that the seller is comfortable with letting it go for, and then we get, you know, that amount in cash. And so when we show up, we test drive the car, see if there's no, you know, major mechanical things. I mean, you know, we don't want to have a showstopper. And then if we decide on a price, we can just sign a title and give him the cash. And so that's, you know, the best, smoothest way to do this. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I'll be making some more for the part 2 of this, for the actual test drive.